Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to kindly remain seated. We have the Fireside Chat, Building Loyalty with Experience. And our speaker for this session is Mr. Sanjay Purohit, Group CEO, Sapphire Foods Partner, who will be speaking with us virtually in conversation with Mr. Sanjay Hiranandani, CEO, Dot1. So please be seated. This is going to be a very interesting session. In a short while, we're going to connect with Mr. Sanjay Purohit virtually. And Mr. Sanjay Hiranandani is going to carry on with this conversation. And straight after that, we are going to have the awards evening, the CIO Awards. So request everyone to be there from 6:30 to 8 p.m. onwards, and then on, we're going to have our dinner, all of us together, and connect and be happy in the process. We'd like to start the Fireside Chat, Building Loyalty with Experience, and I'd like to request Mr. Sanjay Hiranandani, CEO of Dot1, to kindly come forward. Here he is. Put your hands together. He's going to be in conversation with Mr. Sanjay Purohit, Group CEO of Sapphire Foods Partner. And here we have with us Mr. Sanjay Purohit, also on the screen. Very warm welcome to you, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be in front of such an audience. I'd have loved to be there in person, but forgive me that we are doing it on Zoom. Sanjay, it's good to see you again.
Good evening, Sanjay. Thank you for your time. Before we get started on the topic, we are sandwiched, Sanjay, between a topic which just happened on health, fitness, almost mouth-watering discussions on that topic, and a CIO awards and a few cocktails thereafter. So we are sandwiched with the topic of building loyalty with experience between these two topics. However, before we get started, I'll take this opportunity to laud the organizers of Infocom for once again getting us back under one roof. It's after 3 years that Infocom is happening in person. It's not just about getting us under one roof. I think ensuring that you continue to keep Infocom alive even in the year 2020 and 2021, when there was a crisis in the world, is what allowed this brand to continue. So fantastic. Kudos to the organizers. I also learned yesterday that the ABP group is celebrating its centenary this year, which is a fantastic achievement. And during the spotlight session, when Sunil Gavaskar and GR Vishwanath were on stage over here, one heard Sunil Gavaskar saying that as a batsman, I knew how difficult it was to get to 100. What of course he did not say was that each time he got to 100, there was a standing ovation he received. So let us give ABP a standing ovation for getting to 100. It's an absolutely wonderful achievement. Now, Sanjay, we can start, if you don't mind. Sanjay, we are discussing the topic of building loyalty with experience. In this statement, there are two words that perplex me. One is the word loyalty and the other word is experience. You actually wonder after COVID whether this word loyalty has any meaning anymore. And I personally believe that experience is the most misunderstood 10-letter English word in the English dictionary, because most people talk about their experience in a biodata or in a CV, but are unable to use that experience when they are faced with a situation today to look back at what happened in the past and to use that experience. So some of your thoughts on this, please.
So you're quite right. They are misunderstood terms, but are they relevant today is the first question. And I think in an even more challenging world and an even more volatile world, both loyalty and experience are extremely important and relevant. And therefore, what I mean by this, let me just try and break it down. And both loyalty and experience are interlinked and intertwined. And first, let me just simply define what loyalty is and what experience is, and let's take it from there. So loyalty is very simply is just a show of support or allegiance. And experience is the feeling that we get when we are exposed to some stimuli or some situation. Now, in an organization, how does an employee experience the organization? Actually, the employee experiences the organization through the culture. Now, what is culture in a simple way? Culture informs the employee about a set of behaviors that are perhaps permissible, set of behaviors that are rewardable, set of behaviors that are punishable. And when you look at loyalty, when we say that loyalty is a show of support and allegiance, the important question to ask is allegiance or support to what? And actually it is, we always define loyalty in terms of time and in terms of just longevity, but it's not longevity. It is demonstrated over time, but it is actually demonstrated by showing that support and allegiance to the experiences that an organization has to offer. And therefore, if I were to slightly alter loyalty is when an employee shows that support and allegiance to the culture of the organization and helps propagate it, lives it on a day-to-day basis. That is what loyalty is. And often you'll hear a person say, I've been here for 10 years, but during the 10 years, have you added to the value of, added to the culture of the organization? Have you helped propagate it? And similarly in experiences, we say, I've got 10 years of experience, but are those, when we say experiences are what we feel out of a set of stimuli, in the workplace, it is what I've learned out of being exposed to different sets of work challenges. Now, unless I'm able to articulate that as a prospective employee and tell my prospective employer, these are the work challenges that I've been exposed to, and therefore these are my lessons that I've got. Only then does it become useful. But in today's world, loyalty, whether it is to an organization or for an organization to have a loyal employee who's propagating its values, or for a brand, a customer who's propagating the brand and actually being a advocate of the brand, very, very important still, Sanjay.
Absolutely, absolutely, Sanjay. Very well put. In fact, during your articulation now, you use the word culture quite often. I've had the great fortune to come to your office, not just in your room, but across your entire office, where you are propagating 5 different attributes to your employees. Could you talk us through a little bit of that and how it's made a difference to the culture within your organization?
So in an existing organization, there is always an underlying existing culture, whether it's articulated or not. But in a young organization like Sapphire Foods, and we came into existence just about 6-7 years ago, for people around who don't know what Sapphire Foods is, that we are one of the two master franchisees of Yum brands, and we own and operate about 650 KFC and Pizza Hut restaurants in the country. So we are a fairly young organization, and in a young organization, it is very important to therefore articulate what an employee can expect out of the, by being in the organization, what is the kind of experiences that the employee could expect. Now, therefore, again, our background is such that we acquired 8 small different companies together, we merged them, and therefore there were 8 different cultures in the organization. So when we merged everything together and we said, now we are Sapphire Foods, it was important to establish the culture of this place. And culture is established by saying, these are the values that are important in the organization, and these values therefore translate into the behaviors that are permissible and rewardable / punishable. Now, the 5 values that I espouse is the value of excellence, which is really, can you get better, or can all of us get better every single day? The second value is the value of courage, which is, can you, in order to drive excellence, often you have to swim against the tide. The third value we talk about is integrity. And integrity is all about doing the right things. It's not financial integrity, but integrity of purpose. We talk about empathy, which is how do we work together collaboratively. And then accountability or owner mindset. Now, these values we've tried to articulate. And this has driven the culture of the organization. And over a period of time, you've continued in the organization, you have been separated, when we hire according to, try to hire according to these values. So, this is how we try and give a consistent experience to our employees, and therefore hopefully they'll be loyal.
Wonderful.
I'm getting feedback. I hope.
No, we are hearing you. We are hearing you well, Sanjay. So coming back to loyalty, so we can then say that loyalty is internal. That's the loyalty that you want from your people. And then, of course, there is external loyalty, the loyalty that you strive as an organization to get out of your customers. I've known you, Sanjay, to be an extremely customer-centric person. How do you build that loyalty of brand with your consumers or with your customers? Could you talk us through that, please?
So, similarly, similar to the employee-organization relationship is the consumer-brand relationship. Now, the brand is trying to build a set of loyal customers or consumers, and the brand is putting out saying that here are a set of experiences you can expect. And what are those experiences? In marketing jargon, it's called the consumer proposition of a brand. But it is essentially what are the physical attributes of a brand? What are the functional benefits that you get out of the brand? And what does the brand make you feel? Now, when it's consistently delivered, first of all, when it's articulated clearly, and consumers know what to expect out of the brand. That's number one. And number two, it's consistently delivered over a period of time. That's when you get loyal customers. And you can pick any brand. You can pick KFC. It's a brilliant brand, but there was a period of time when we were not consistent to, what we are trying to what the brand stood for. The brand is actually unapologetically all about chicken. And there was, believe me, a period in time when we were doing, apart from chicken, everything else. We were doing vegetarian, we were doing beverages, and so on and so forth. So the loyal consumer looked at the brand and said, these are not the experiences that I expect out of the brand. And therefore, the brand actually started to do bad deals. And then when you went to, the core of the brand, what it was meant to deliver, again, the revived chicken and not tried to, apologize and, get in a vegetarian also into the store and said, everything that you do is chicken. That's when, then the brand started reviving all over again. And today, you've got a set of really strong loyalists of the brand. And, people whom I talk to say, there's no brand like yours.
Wonderful.
But this story tells you can go through times when you miss what the experience is that the consumer is supposed to expect from a brand side also.
Wonderful, Sanjay, wonderful. Sanjay, you mentioned about the fact that you all are a young organization, just 6 to 7 years old. You all are a coming together of 7, 8 organizations got together. And in this early stage of the organization, you have gone into the market for an IPO. Yeah, and I'm aware of the fact that it was an extremely successful IPO. What was the experience around that IPO, not just for you individually, but for people around your organization, your leadership team, and how has that IPO bound them together in terms of loyalty to the organization? Could you talk us through that, please?
Very well. So I go back to two values that we talk about. First, the value of accountability, and the value of excellence, and I'll illustrate what I mean here. So, the value of accountability is really about no excuses, execution. It's all about every employee having an owner mindset. Now, before the IPO, we actually had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where the promoters, and they are private equity firms who are promoters, said that actually this is a great opportunity for us to translate owners' mindset into actuality, and therefore they diluted about 1.5% of their equity, and they gave ESOPs to 1,000 employees, including restaurant store managers.
Wonderful.
Now, a restaurant manager, Sanjay, would earn anywhere between 6 and 7 lakh rupees per annum. Now, this is when the rubber hits the road, when through your actions you are able to demonstrate and you are able to fulfill the expectations and the experiences that people, so the experiences that you are promising. So this 1,000 employee list, people who got ESOP, I think it's quite rare in at least I know the IP space does this, but at least in the consumer and retail space, this white ESOP, grant is quite unheard of. And it, again, like I said, reinforces this value of accountability. We also talk about excellence. Now, excellence is about, simply defined, to get better every single day. Now, when we go into the market and we've got investors and we're asking investors to invest in us, one of our promises also is that we fulfill this value of excellence. And from year to year, we try and get better. So I'm just, actually the IPO in these two ways fulfilled some of the cultural aspects that we have been trying to promote and promise, over this period of time that we've existed.
That's absolutely wonderful, Sanjay. I've seen the buoyancy within the organization after the IPO. It's not just about those people who got ESOPs. I think even those people who have been seeing the work going around, the fact that Sapphire is now listed on the NSE and BSE gives a very buoyant feeling to everyone within the organization. So I think the IPO has led to a sense of pleasure amongst the people within your organization.
So I must tell you this is a small story. So we had, one of our area managers in a particular region. I mean, he actually got a badge saying that, so we've got KFC and Pizza Hut. He got a badge with our logo, Sapphire logo, and it said, "I'm a proud owner."
Wonderful. 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 Sanjay, I know there are two things common between you and I. One is the absolute unabated love for sport. And second is listening. Of course, you also do sing beautifully, but listening to old Hindi songs. Does any example on the sporting world, be it a player, be it a team, be it a coach, resonate with you when it comes to a great experience or loyalty by a player, by a team or a coach? So if you could illustrate something on that.
Yeah, you forgot the other part that binds us, our love for the amber liquid.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I often say, Sanjay, that sport is really life in fast forward. And what I mean by that is that I'm saying typically life is full of ups and downs. I mean, you've got incredible highs, you've got times when virtually nothing is happening, and you've got times when you've got lows. Now, you experience these highs and lows and these stagnant periods over a long horizon of time. And therefore, often when one is exposed to something new, you don't know how to react to it, isn't it?
True.
So you look at sport, and actually sport encompasses all these highs and lows and stagnant phases in a very short and condensed period of time. And therefore, I feel that if I look at sport and if I learn from sport, perhaps I'll be able to apply those lessons in life. And I'm just look at what happened. I know Kolkata is football crazy. Everyone must be staying up late to watch the World Cup matches.
Absolutely.
But I was watching the Saudi Arabia match. And there was a Poland Argentina match going on at the same time. And if you just saw the graph of the individual supporters during that, and they would have seen enormous highs and enormous lows. And finally, the way that it panned out is the way that it panned out. But now, through that, what does it tell you? That you are going to be exposed to this. And sometimes you're going to be horribly disappointed. Sometimes you will end up being a victor. But how can you maintain that equanimity right through the period? In a 50-over game, for example, they say that the 20th to the 40th over or the 10th to the 40th over is a time of consolidation. Even during a consolidation phase in our own careers, in our own lives, how are we still able to get some of that excitement up? How are we still able to add some flavor to what we are doing? So I think that's what I mean by saying sport is life and fast forward, and there's just so much that we can learn. I mean, you just take the example of Kohli. He's world's greatest, gone through such a bad phase, and when he's going through a bad phase, just look at the noise that he's surrounded by. There are every ex-cricketer is telling him that you have to play more, play more, play more. Now, in all of that noise, actually the thing that he does is take a step back and say, how do I rekindle the love that I have for this sport? And therefore, he takes a month break, 2 months break. Perhaps I think he said he didn't touch a bat during that phase. And then he comes back and he's just a transformed man. So I think there's a lesson here in it for all of us also, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Sanjay, it's been fascinating, absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this. The clock in front of me tells me that we've run out of time, but thank you so much. Each time I meet you, there's so much to understand, there's so much to learn. You taking out your time out of your busy schedule to even come online has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. So to the audience, if there are any questions, we're happy to take one or two of them. But I know we are coming in between the awards and your cocktails. So if there are no questions, we'll then wind up. Please do let us know. Right, Sanjay. Thank you so much. No questions from here. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Either I've been very clear or very obtuse. I'm hoping that I've been more clear than obtuse.
It's been absolutely fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you for having me
Right.
here.
Thank you.
Have a good time.
Thank you very much, sir. May I request Mr. Dhruba Mukherjee, CEO of AVP Private Limited, to kindly come on stage to give away the memento to Mr. Sanjay Hiranandani, and also he'll be taking it on behalf of Mr. Sanjay Purohit. We'd also request you to accept it on behalf. Thank you. So 1 minute, we just...